Hello everyone. Figured I'd take a few minutes here to explain what I've been doing the past few weeks. I've been preparing to run the telephone network at the Vintage Computer Festival Midwest, which is coming up in about a month. It's a vintage computer festival held in the Chicagoland area for any vintage computer enthusiast to see vintage computers or exhibit them or just in general hang out with like-minded individuals. One of the things we're doing differently this year for the telephone network is stringing cables up on these fake telephone poles. The goal with these is that crossing aisles with cables is problematic for a number of reasons. They're potentially trip hazard, it's difficult to keep the cables in place. People pull the tape up with their feet unintentionally. If you cover them with a rug, the rug moves. And so I've decided that we're going to trade one set of problems for an entirely different set of problems by building these telephone poles. I've got kind of a couple different pieces of design here. There's a cross-arm style top piece with these bridle rings to hold the cables. There's also just a straight version with a single ring. The bases, there's an H-shaped base I've built out of this rectangular tubing, and there's also an off-the-shelf base with just a round base with a pole. And then the rectangular tubing is just held in place with some screws. The intention is obviously that these would be much higher. The cable should be kind of out of arm's reach of people generally, so that it's hard to snag the cable on accident. It wouldn't be impossible for somebody to do something like that intentionally, but the point is that you shouldn't be intentionally trying to pull the cable down. The other thing I've been working on towards preparing for the telephone network is that this 19-inch rack is empty right now, but I have a plan for all of the equipment that I want to put in it related to running the telephone network, whether that's switching equipment or modems, power distribution, networking equipment, those sorts of things. There's a cross-connect field that will mount here by the time I'm done. And it's basically a bunch of ancillary supporting equipment aside from the main PBX itself. I have a plan of where everything's going to go. I just haven't installed it yet. That'll be the next step. First item in the rack is the Cisco 3845. Has a number of T1 interfaces installed. Functions as an ISDN tandem switch in the show network. Generally ends up being used to sit between the main PBX, any other equipment that needs a T1 or an ISDN PRI, as well as performing voice over IP media gateway functionalities. Additionally, it has V90 capable digital modems installed to provide V90 modem service for terminal sessions and PPP internet access. There's an FXO interface installed, which I'll be removing and replacing with a T1 card for the show. And in general, it can perform network routing functions where necessary as well. The Cisco 2511 is mounted above the 3845 and will be attached to an analog modem bank to provide additional modem services. You may be wondering why we need more modems when the 3845 already includes some, and the answer is simple. In the US, older modems only tended to support the Bell modes such as 103 and 212A. The 3845 modems will be set up for ITU modes to support speeds up to 56K with V.90. In order to support older modems that only do the Bell modes, the modems attached to the 2511 will be set up for Bell modes rather than ITU. In the event that I have any issues getting the 2511 configured or problems with my modems or any other piece of equipment, a co-exhibitor is also bringing a Cisco 2851 with an analog modem module installed that can go in the gap between the 2511 and the 3845 in the event that we have any issues. Above the modem bank, there's a gap to hold HDSL carrier equipment for transport of T1s over single pairs. I don't have that shelf. That's another one that my co-exhibitor is bringing. But above that is some mounting for 110 block cross-connect field There's another block that'll be mounted on the left, but I haven't finished putting the cables on it yet. I'm still waiting for some pieces in the mail. Above that are some RJ45 or 8P8C modular jack patch panels that will also be part of the cross connect field. And there's an empty strap of metal below that which will hold another 110 block, a smaller one for the HDSL equipment for cross connecting those T1s. Finally, at the top of the rack we have some networking equipment such as an Ethernet switch and an Ethernet router on a shelf. I've also got an ISDN NT1 mounted to that shelf, and additionally there will be a D-SLAM that I don't have yet. It'll be brought by another co-exhibitor. In that empty space I might also mount a panel that holds some wall mount phones so that I've got some test phones there in case we need to probe something on the cross connect field. So we have the rack mostly together. I had pulled the Meridian out, completely provisioned that. Everything in the rack is configured. All the cross connects are done. Frame phones are installed, the HDSL shelf. The only remaining thing that will be installed at the show is the DSL D-SLAM. And we have a lot of cabling to do as well, but everything should be mostly plug and play at this point. So we're here at VCFMW. This is Sunday and I'm finally getting some time to take a quick video of the setup. We have a table in the middle with a lot of our phones and management stuff on, and then the rack is set up. Everything's wired into the main telephone pole. We got the cellular connection and an access point hung up there. PA system wires, all 25 pairs spreading out to various places in the show. And that was taken care of Thursday night. From there, everything branches out from each pole to the individual tables. And of course, here we have, I had a demo set up with a VT220 and a acoustic coupler modem, but that kind of VT220 seems to have some bad capacitors and died. And then Meridian here is all set up, running the phone show. Under this cover, which I could probably remove at this point, the step switch demo is here as well. That was brought by a co-exhibitor. Then just the general mess area that has accumulated of all the random bits and pieces we've been using to work on things. Everything is back in my garage. I just need to organize it and put it away so that it's all ready for next year.